Oh, well, and hey, Mario's already here. Okay, and sorry about that. Good morning. I got a little distracted because things aren't. Live is hard mode. Got a couple of hiccups this morning. We're not on Rumble this morning because there's something wrong with the way Restream is handling the back end RTMP protocol. And then, anyway, Restream has changed things around and they don't work correctly. So
it's basically every time a piece of software is changed, we fixed the old glitches, but in fact installed new ones. Therefore, we can maintain our job to continue fixing it.
Mario, looks like you've got a fan, brother.
Huh? Yep. Hey, Brittany.
Excellent. And let me throw this one out to my mother-in-law, Trish, because she's got first blood. Good morning. And Patrick's with us. Good morning. There's Megan. Pitt, Danny's with us. GCM joins us again this morning. Good morning, brother. Good. I'm glad. I've seen GCM join us a few times recently. I'm glad to see you back in the mornings there, brother. GCM had been out doing the Lord's work with some of those First Amendment audits. Great channel. So go check out Georgia Constitution Media. By the way, GCM, you and I haven't talked on the phone in a while. We should talk soon because I'm a lot closer to you now than I was before. I'm moved and we're a lot closer together. It'd be a lot easier for us to get together and get a cold beer. So, Mario, yes. This was your idea mostly. I think I was kind of leaning this direction for the show this morning already, but Mario hit me up in one of the infamous threads and said, "Hey, let's do this tomorrow." And I was like, LFG, baby, let's do it. So you want to introduce the topic this morning?
Sure. All right. So far we have 16 cabinet appointments. All right, that Trump has decided on, and overall, this is okay. Let's look at it either way. Okay. Now, conservatives, right wingers we're really quick to just jump off the wagon, like, oh my God, it's not exactly what I wanted. Oh, it's over. It's over before it even began, just like last time. Well, not necessarily the case this time. Okay, I think Trump has learned a thing or two from his disastrous first year of his presidency back in 2016, and at least we're seeing like a third of these picks are rock solid for someone who would consider themselves right wing. Only a handful of them would be kind of disappointment or viewed with skepticism, and then the rest are fairly neutral. So overall, it looks like we have some solid appointments, or not appointments. They have to make it through a selection committee, but maybe they don't. But I guess we can get to that later. What Trump
I was about to say, maybe not.
maybe not, right? But then again, before you poo-poo over any of these selections, okay, kind of bear in mind of who's been in charge for the last 4 years. Okay, anyone he picks is going to be better, okay, than what we have currently. So, I mean, especially for Department of Homeland Security, a lot of people were complaining about Kristi Noem, okay, just because she's got some poor track record when it comes to the First Amendment, in particular for in regards to a certain group of people. She's been real big on like First Amendment, but not for anti-Semitism, right? Which is the definition, which is nebulous and changes whenever the Anti-Defamation League decides that the definition needs to be changed. Okay. That said,
and real quick, we constantly hear about anti-Semitism in reference to people hating on the Jews, and of course, it's fair to lob a lot of criticism at the Democrats, especially the Squad, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, and them. Most especially,
precisely,
Representative Brotherfucker. But you guys need to remember that the word Semite doesn't mean Jew.
It means those descended from Noah's son Shem. Okay, all of the Shemitic people, right? So, yeah. Jews, Palestinians, Arabs, Syrians, Maghrebi.
But in the modern parlance, in the modern lexicon, it just means it's essentially synonymous with Nazi. It just means the same thing as Nazi.
It's synonymous. It's synonymous. I can't speak. Synonymous with a skepticism or criticism of a certain group of people from an ancient oblast in the Ukraine. Okay, not even Semitic people, like sons of Japheth. Okay. Anyway, we're getting off topic. So let's pull this up now. His first pick. Do you want to get into it, or do you have some fluffer to do?
No, let's get into it.
Okay. And Cameron, yes, you are correct. A monkey with a football would be superior to what we currently have.
Correct.
Okay. So let's look first at the White House Chief of Staff. All right. Obviously, it's Susie Wiles. She, along with Nick Lacivitas. Okay. They were his campaign managers. All right. And these two, Susie Wiles, all right, in particular, was under heavy criticism from the far right online, because they were not running Trump's campaign as they wished. Okay, they weren't getting what they wanted to hear on immigration, what they wanted to hear on First Amendment issues, and what they wanted to hear on basically just kind of acknowledging the elephant in the room that neither party will mention, okay, or appeal to, which is white people. All right.
Correct. So now, as far as all those criticisms go, I want to say this on the outset in reference to the primary criticism for anybody that Trump has picked has been, well, this person in the past has not been great on X topic. And right. I think Trump very nicely addressed that in the Joe Rogan interview, where he talked about putting RFK Jr. in charge of making America healthy again, and he basically said, "Look, I don't like I don't like RK on things like the energy sector. He's a little too Greenpeace, a little too Green New Deal, right? A little too into getting rid of fossil fuels. So, well, that's not going to be his job. He's just not going to be in that job. He's not going to be in a position to make changes to energy policy and the like. And so when you look across the board at every other one of his picks, you can say, well, okay, Vivek Ramaswamy, for example, he's not actually a government appointment, but that's beside the point. But Vivek is going to be part of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. And Trump has said, look, Vivek is a little more free trade, anti-tariff than we would like him to be. But guess what? That's not going to be his job. He's not going to have direct influence over those things. So, though, like Tulsi Gabbard isn't great on the Second Amendment. She's come around. She's changed. She said that she's changed her positions on that. But quite frankly, she's not going to be in a position to make decisions and have an effect on Second Amendment rules and laws. She's going to be in a very different position. So He's doing a great job of selecting people that are absolutely perfect on exactly the thing they're going to do. So it's like, okay, guys, I've got this chef. He does a steak au poivre that is just absolutely unassailable. Now, he's not the best neurosurgeon I know, but I'm not asking him to remove a carcinoma from my brain either. I'm asking him to come and cook me a fucking banger steak.
Yeah. Yeah. If you install a cabinet where, you're selecting people who can do one specific thing, and that's what their job is going to do. Okay, and we don't have to worry about the ulterior things. Then that's fine. That's fine. So, all right, we're looking at Susie Wiles. All right, so she's basically the kind of going to be the gatekeeper, okay, to Donald Trump. And I do have my suspicions of her. However, based on some of the picks I'm seeing, I'm starting to I'm getting a little less worried about it. Plus, at least we're going to have smooth continuity from the campaign to the White House. You know what I mean? So it's not like we're not going to have a radical shakeup of everyone who's currently on board the Trump train in a middle management position. So that's fine. I'll accept that for now. I don't know who is Biden's chief of staff. I don't even know. It probably doesn't matter. I think and like I said, I want to point out, as we go through
Biden's
this list,
chief of staff was Barack Obama. Let's not get confused
probably.
here.
Yeah. Checks out. So, as we go through these picks, I just want you to, if we have time, I'm going to point to who we currently have and how this is either a wash or it's obviously a total win. Okay. So let's move on to the second one, Secretary of State. All right. So Marco Rubio, or as I like to call him, Deep State, the next generation. All right, Marco,
Little Marco.
Little Marco. Yep, his redemption saga is complete. But okay, so right, Marco Rubio is Secretary of State. I mean, it's not a terrible pick. Okay, there are loyalty questions for Marco Rubio because this man has been a hedge against Trump. Okay, in the Senate, and he's also look, Chris, we've been around in politics for at least 2 decades paying attention, right? So Marco Rubio's kind of the big strike against him would be his participation in that Gang of Eight legislation, which was a bipartisan group of big muckety mucks in the Senate trying to get some kind of immigration bill that was supposed to be a compromise bill, but in fact it gave the left way more than it gave the right. Okay,
No.
Yeah, well, that's standard Republican politics. Okay, the only thing we're going to conserve is the last win the Democrats got. You know what I mean? That's conservative. That's why I'm not a conservative. Like I said, couldn't even conserve a little girl's bathroom. Don't talk to me. So
Constitutionalist.
Yeah. So Marco Rubio, he really wants this job.
Actually, wait.
You know that? We
should just found a wholly new political party, Mario, and call it the Regressivist Party.
Retrogradivist, yes. All right, so Marco Rubio, right? I'm okay with it for now. I mean, I'll wait and see. If you look at it in comparison to Blinken, the current Secretary of State, it's really It's really, I mean. But here's the thing about Blinken, okay? With Biden's cabinet, okay, you're looking at a lot of these positions that are in Biden's cabinet are people who literally actually can't do their job. They don't do anything. They can't perform the function that they were assigned. Blinken, albeit weak and kind of just not presenting a strong face for America on a global stage, he can at least perform the functions of his job. Okay, Rubio will be able to at least perform the functions of his job. Okay, I don't have that. I'm not concerned about that. He's not going to travel to a foreign country and just get rolled by some magnanimous, foreign leader, and then we'll have egg on our face. This man is, for better or worse, he's a competent politician. And he'll be able to perform his job. I just hope doesn't act as a hedge for the deep state or the administrative state against the Trump administration. I don't want brakes. This train doesn't need brakes. Okay.
Right.
Bottom line.
And to your point about competency, we could look at the entire slate of Trump picks, and each one of them has been selected, even if they're not what we might think of as the best possible pick for the position. Each one of them is a competent person who has some credential, some history, some resume bullet that makes them a reasonable pick for the position. You go down, you can go through Biden's cabinet, and you've got Pete Buttigieg. He was put in as Secretary of Transportation literally because he's gay, and for no other reason. You've got Rachel Levine, Robert Levine. It was literally so that they could say, we've appointed the first female 4-star admiral. Keep in mind, this is a civilian who never had a military rank before he was frocked to a 4-star admiral, so that the administration could say, look, first female admiral. It's like, no, there have been female admirals before, and this is not a woman. And you can go down. You had the nuclear cleanup guy that was prancing around in dresses and going and stealing women's underwear off of the roundabout at the airport at the baggage pickup. Mm-hmm. So you go down the list of basically Biden's entire cabinet, and it's nothing but diversity hires. People whose only qualification was literally they check victim blocks.
Yeah, none of these picks so far are what I would call clown world picks. Okay, which is what half of Biden's cabinet was, straight clown world. Okay, so Marco Rubio, I'm going to give it I'm neutral on that one. Okay, we'll see what happens. All right. Moving on to Secretary of Defense is Pete Hegseth, the Fox News host, former Army officer. Was he?
I'm glad you went straight to Hegseth next, because before you get into his accolades, I want to point this out. Everything I just said about Biden's appointees, that they all checked that victim block, they were all some kind of shiny new toy to fill the slot. As soon as Pete Hegseth was announced, there was an absolute media blitz of leftist pundits and television personalities trying to tell America, look at this nonsense. Donald Trump just picked a random Fox News host. How can a weekend Fox News host who doesn't know anything except for how to be a television personality, how could he be the guy that you picked for? Like, now hold up a minute.
Because he was born in a Fox studio, and that's all he's ever known. He's never done anything else.
Now, this is a 20-year combat veteran. This is a man who has served in combat. Now, he's an officer, and we can go down that rabbit hole. And I've heard I've heard it repeated a lot. Oh, well, he's got Ivy League degrees. He's got a couple of Bronze Stars. Okay, I'm gonna shit on him for just a second. I don't care about your Ivy League degrees. In fact, if you come to me with a resume that mentions Ivy League degrees, we're not working together.
Yeah,
generally. And he's got 2 Bronze Stars. Let me tell you something about Bronze Stars. That just means you were the right rank while you were deployed.
Correct.
Bronze Stars are not awarded to people who earn Bronze Stars. Yep. Take it from somebody who has thrown bullets and bombs at bad guys. Bronze Stars are awarded to people who happen to be in the grade of Sergeant First Class or higher while deployed in combat, in support of a combat operation. It's got nothing to do with what you actually did. However, Hegseth is also the recipient of a combat infantryman badge. That is a different story. So let me explain to you guys in the audience who don't understand this. And it's possible to get a CIB without actual significant engagement. You could, I've seen CIBs and CABs given to people who were on a COP where a firefight happened, or they were on a FOB that took a little bit of IDF. But by and large, what a CIB or I don't have a CIB. I have a CAB because I was not infantry when I engaged the enemy. But the CIB, the CAB, that means that you personally put boots on the ground and traded bullets with the enemy. It does not. You only get one the first time it happens, right? I didn't get a CIB or in my case, a CAB. I didn't get a CAB for every combat engagement. I didn't get one for every firefight or every time I got blown up or every time somebody threw a freaking mortar over the wall and stabbed me in the leg with a fucking tent post. But you get one. You get that first one. And here's why. I used to explain this to my soldiers before I had been in a gunfight in combat, before I had been deployed. When I was just a young, shiny training operations NCOIC for a Delta unit out of Hawaii, I used to tell my soldiers, look, I don't know. I'm a big dude. I'm well trained. I've been in fights before, fist fights. I've been in street fights. I've been in boxing rings. But I don't know what I'm going to do. I like to think that when the shit hits the fan, I'm going to go to work. I'm going to put my weapon where it's supposed to be and fight and destroy the enemy. But I might be a coward, and I haven't found out yet. Yep. Once you have that CAB, once you have that CIB, that means that you have indeed fucked around and found out.
Right. Yeah.
Now, it doesn't guarantee that what you found out is that you're a steely-eyed killing machine that's willing to trade bullets with the enemy over and over and over again. It means that you have, in fact, found out. And Hegseth, you can look at, you can see it in his eyes. You can look at his face and see it. He found out the right way. He knows exactly what he's good for. He is the guy that when the bank gets robbed, he can draw his weapon and solve the problem before the cops have time to get a phone call.
Yeah. Yes, Pete. Yes, when we say that, or when they say that Pete Hegseth is a combat veteran, he is a legit combat veteran. He's not a dirty, nasty fobbit like me. Okay. So anyway, now. Hegseth, this would be the first on this list that would be a true like outside of the beltway. Okay, pick. Okay, this is well in the eyes of the people in Congress. All right, this would be a radical choice. All right, Pete Hegseth was a major. Okay, in the Army, and usually this position is going to go to someone who would go to a flag officer. Okay, a general or an admiral. Right.
Right.
So. Plus, he is a combat veteran, and he knows exactly what the enlisted deal with. All right, in a war zone. So I think he's a populist choice in the military sense. All right, and I greatly approve of it. There's a lot of old fuddies in the Pentagon. Okay, who really need like a reality check. Okay, as to how the public feels and to what's really going on with with our military capacity abroad. So. I know, Cheeseburger. I know you're disappointed. Okay, I'm sorry, but
he should be here tomorrow.
You can't have me. Okay, I got Brittany in the chat. Okay, and she's a woman, so I'm sorry. Not gonna happen. Okay. All right. So yeah, I like Pete Hegseth. It's definitely outside the box. Okay, and that's a shake-up move. Okay, I really hope he gets approved. Okay, because he is qualified in ways that no recent Secretary of Defense has been qualified. Okay, and I think that needs to be taken into consideration. Okay,
like for example, being a veteran.
Yeah, let's have someone who's been a combat veteran in the last 2 decades in this position, as opposed to 3 decades ago, which is the norm. Okay. So moving on, do we want to do Matt Gaetz now, or do we want to do that?
And keep in mind, hang on, let me address something you just said, Mario. You said, as opposed to somebody who is a combat veteran from 3 decades ago. Well, here's the thing, though. There aren't combat veterans from 3 decades ago. Combat veterans from 3 decades ago are Cold War fighters. And not to, all respect and love, Dad, your Majesty, but we are not in a Cold War right now. And somebody who got out, who served and left the military during the Cold War, they have no exposure to what op-tempo looks like, what the order of battle is, how active hot war is conducted. They're very different creatures. I mentioned Dad. Dad was in for the Cold War and for the Hot War. The old man has, talk about fucking ear to the ground. He created bragging on my old man a little bit. He built the modern American army in a very, very real way. As in, he put the vast majority of anybody today in the rank of sergeant first class and above was at least indirectly put in those boots by my father. And the FMs and ARs that they run their career on had a lot of input from the old sergeant major while he was still active duty. And that just is what it is. But you talk about a flag officer, and you're talking about a West Point grad who has been a politician in uniform, not a soldier.
Right. So Hegseth is actually probably our first Secretary of Defense who is an on-the-ground global war on terrorism veteran. Okay, and I think it's time for that. So
yeah,
that's all I got to say about it. And Hegseth wrote a controversial book about how we need to clear out the dead weight in the upper echelons of the military, particularly in the flag officer corps, which is something that you and I talk about regularly on this program, and needing to get rid of the old fuddies up top, and most of whom were appointed or at least groomed by Obama and his administration, which is part of the reason we have such a woke military. And these people just need to be cleared out. Okay, so yeah. Hegseth,
his other controversial take is there should be no women in combat arms. Say again?
Yeah. Hegseth is fresh blood. And yes, he wants to return. Basically, at a minimum, we're going back to just before Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed. Okay? Probably. And I'm fine with that. But that's a separate topic. Okay.
Well, I do not like women in combat arms, and I don't like women being paid the same as men in uniform. Because it is this simple. The argument was always a woman can do anything a man can do, and they should get equal pay for equal work. And as soon as they put the uniform on, that lie was proved to be what it was. That's why a 19-year-old American man in the Army has to do 50 push-ups in 2 minutes, and a 19-year-old woman in the Army only needs to do 19 push-ups in 2 minutes. That's why the man has to run that 2 miles in 14 and a half minutes, and the lady gets almost 20 minutes to run at the same age bracket.
Yep.
They are not physically capable to do the same job. In fact, that goes so far, they introduced the new ACFT standards several years ago, and the idea was that they were going to be gender neutral standards. And it turns out that when they set a single standard where they lowered the standard that men had to meet to try and bring the two together, they started losing women in just by the cargo. And so they split it back into there's one standard for men and one standard for women. If there's not a single standard that everybody has to meet, and without degrading the expectation of what our men have to do, then there is no place for women in combat arms. There should be women in uniform in jobs that do not require the physical standard that a combat soldier needs to meet, and those jobs should be paid 20% less because they are 20% less valuable.
It's existed before. It's the Women's Army Corps. Okay, correct. It was a thing way back. World War II, maybe up to Vietnam. Anyway, back when we still had all the specialists, like the specialists separate, like NCO career path. You know what I mean? Anyway, so no cheeseburger. Lowry's the guy you want for verbal bellicosity, not me. Okay. All right, we got like 13 other people, so let's see what we can do here. All right, fine. We'll the elephant in the room, Matt Gaetz, okay, for Attorney General. This is an outstanding selection. Okay.
Yes.
This is a weaponized selection against the rest of the government. Okay.
And let me tell you why. Oh, here you go.
Congressman Gaetz, thank you for your leadership. I had a rig in here in 24.
He's a crime committed by he lied to investigators. He lied to the here with my colleagues from the House Freedom Caucus, where we watched Michael Cohen get dog walked through the series of lies he has told. There is literally no branch of government that Michael Cohen has not lied to. He lied to investigators. He lied to the judge who sentenced him. He lied to the United States Congress. And he committed these lies for his own benefit. And while we're talking about what we saw in that courtroom going on for people's own benefit, we would be remiss if we did not mention this corrupt judge, this judge whose own family is making six figures off of Democrat politics that continues to gaslight the country that there's some sort of crime committed by President Trump. This is a made-up crime. No other American in the country would be charged with this type of crime. It's like the Mr. Potato Head doll of crimes, where they had to stick together a bunch of things that did not belong together. Observing the jury, I could see that
the Mr. Potato Head doll of crimes.
Yep. So Matt Gaetz.
So that's going to be our new AG.
Yeah. Well, I hope he gets pushed through. Okay. I hope he makes it. We really need him. He's the opposite.
I want to show one more clip.
He's the opposite of Jeff Sessions. Okay. The polar opposite of Jeff Sessions.
Between the department and Alvin Bragg's office and Fonnie Willis's office and Letitia James's office.
The offices you're referring to are independent offices of state.
I get that. I get that.
State.
The question is whether or not you will provide all of your documents and correspondence. That's the question. I don't need a history lesson.
Well, I'm going to say again, we do not control those offices. They make their own decisions.
The question is whether you communicate with them, not whether you control them. Do you communicate with them, and will you provide those communications?
You make a request, we'll refer it to our Office of Legislative Affairs.
But see, here's the thing. You come in.
See, and the difference between the two of them, that's the current AG, Merrick Garland, just an absolute shit stain on the American politic of history, who, like yesterday, I mentioned Mitch McConnell a little bit, and we got to talk about Cocaine Mitch a little bit this morning. I'm not a big fan of Mitch McConnell, but credit where credit's due. He saved us from having that piece of shit put onto the Supreme Court at the end of Obama's term. And that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's the only good thing Turtle's ever done. I mean, recently anyway, in the last 10 years. So yeah, Matt Gaetz, maybe a lot of boomers don't really know who this guy is. Okay. He's in the House of Representatives, Florida. All right. He's called Florida Man in Congress, which is, I love that. Okay. Basically Matt Gaetz is, imagine back in 2016, if Trump had chosen Trey Gowdy as his attorney general instead of Pete Sessions. That's what you're looking at here. And that's what you need. Okay. Attorney general last time, 2016, Jeff Sessions was effectively compromised within the first month of Trump taking office. Okay, that's not going to happen this time, and that's what this message sends. Matt Gaetz is a pugnacious individual who has basically a set of tungsten nuts, who's not afraid to stand alone against his entire legislative body. This guy was the ringleader getting McCarthy out. Okay, of the Speaker of the House. Right. This man's got nuts and he's got convictions, and he is loyal and America first, and that's exactly what we need. Matt Gaetz is the type of attorney general who will weaponize the government against the government, which is what I want to see, instead of against the people, like what we currently have.
I highly recommend y'all go look at Tim Pool had Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Bowman on at the same time together, like last summer. I think that was the same episode where MTG was explaining, the way it happens in the House of Representatives is they call for a vote and there's almost nobody there. So everybody's mad at me, and Gaetz was one of the people on the list, on her list, not the people who were mad at her. And everybody was mad at Marjorie Taylor Greene back then because she realized that they did it that way. You just basically you wait until you've got the right number of Republicans or the right number of Democrats, and it's a small number, and you call for a vote, and the people who aren't there they don't get to vote. So Marjorie would sit in there, and just every time somebody called for a vote, she'd insist, nope, roll call vote. Everybody has to be here. Get them in here. Get them in here. And then they started doing shit where they'd wait for her to get up and go to the bathroom or take lunch or something, and they'd call the votes while she was out of the room so that she couldn't do that. So she put together a list of people, and they took turns like pulling security. Matt Gaetz was one of those that would go and sit there when when whoever else was on the list, whoever else was basically pulling security for you, he would go and just hang out in the chambers so that when they called for a vote, he could say, nope, roll call, get everybody in here. Everybody, get them in here, make them put their fucking name on it.
Yep. Agreed. Okay, so moving on to Kristi Noem, Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Well, like Cameron said, monkey in a football. This is the most perfect example. Okay, now Kristi Noem, Senator, right? Or no, wait, Governor, South Dakota, right? Yeah. Governor, South Dakota. I'm fine with her. Okay, she's nice to look at too. Okay, definitely.
She's not an exciting pick. She's not Matt Gaetz for AG or Pete Hegseth for.
However, okay, she does have a First Amendment problem when it comes to the state of Israel. Okay, but then again, who do we currently have? Oh, Alejandro might. This woman is replacing Alejandro White Genocide Mayorkas. Okay, literally anyone is preferable to what we currently have.
The kid that trained Donald Trump to run the fry basket at McDonald's. I'll take him over Mayorkas.
Correct. Anyone over Mayorkas. Okay. In fact, Mayorkas is one of the people who absolutely must be. I don't care what political scandal it causes. I don't care if it causes rifts on Capitol Hill. Mayorkas needs to
spend the rest of his natural life in jail.
Mayorkas must be prosecuted for what he has done. It is blatant treason. Okay. Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence. Another outsider pick, another shake-up pick. I fully support that. You've got basically a woman who is skeptical of Russian adversarialism, okay, which is hyped up, by our leaders. And
I'm glad you mentioned that. So Tulsi's not great on 2A. But like I was saying earlier, this is a Cameron used the phrase "aces in their places." She's not going to have any access to that.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care.
Running DNI. You're talking about a woman who ran for president, and part of the attack on her to spoil her chances as a contender was all the Democrat outlets, the Democrat propaganda machine came out and told America she's a Russian spy. Like, whoa. I don't know if anybody else in this conversation happens to have been a former member of clandestine services, but that to be called a Russian spy or a spy of any foreign adversary while you're still in uniform, y'all better believe I've been shining my fucking bolt carrier. You're gonna come at me while I'm carrying a TSSCI with SACs and accuse me of being a foreign asset? That's a big fucking deal. Yeah. Tell the world I'm a Russian spy and then put me in charge of DNI.
Right.
Let's see how many survivors there are.
Okay, I'm good with the Tulsi Gabbard pick. Okay, for one reason alone. Okay, basically the Director of National Intelligence will be a woman who is a skeptic of the intelligence community, and that's exactly what we need right now. The intelligence community is like it's almost an unelected branch of government. Okay, where it gives like a papal blessing on the military industrial complex actions of anything going on in the Beltway. Okay, it's just rubber stamp. Okay, I want someone who is skeptical and is not going to be a rubber stamp. Okay, Elise Stefanik, ambassador to the United Nations. Whatever. So what? Nikki Haley did that job. It's not really an important job. Okay, it's just a mouthpiece you're sending to deal with a group of people who don't matter. Okay, that's fine. As long as she doesn't bring shame to America, that's really all that's all you have. That's all you require to do that job. Don't bring shame to the country, and she'll be fine. Mike Huckabee for ambassador to Israel. I like that. Okay? because for the first time in a long time, it's not actually a member of the tribe who's going to be an ambassador to Israel. Right. In fact, it's going to be a hardcore evangelical who is probably more of a practicing Jew than Jews. So interesting.
Yeah, honestly, I
dynamic,
was
okay?
half expecting to see Dennis Prager named to this position.
Dennis Prager would have been all right. I would have been okay with that. Okay, but yeah, Mike Huckabee, loved by evangelical Americans. Okay, and I think he's a good fit. Okay, force the Israelis to deal with like a Christian evangelical who's on their side completely. Okay, but they're not going to have that kind of like, insider under the table, like, hey, we're both members of the tribe, which means that we, you know what I mean? Like they'll actually have to negotiate and work with them, and it's not just going to be a, you're in the club. You know what I mean? So I'm fine with that. Steve Witkoff, Special Envoy to the Middle East. I don't really know anything about. I don't know much about this guy. I apologize.
No, it's okay. He's relatively a relatively minor figure in this.
He's our first tribe member on the list. Okay, and whatever, that's fine. I mean, you're looking at. Well, here I'll put it in YouTube terms. Okay, one of the things I like when I'm seeing about these picks. Okay, is unlike the previous administration, you're not seeing a certain ethnic group of people, okay, representing senior cabinet positions greatly outside of their proportion to the population of the country.
Here,
okay?
I'll say it even cleaner for you. The vast majority of these picks are only American citizens.
Correct. The vast majority of these picks do not have a second passport where they can flee at a moment's notice. Okay. And I greatly respect that. All right. There could be some, of course, but it can't be 11 out of 13 like it was the last 4 years. All right. Mike Waltz, National Security Advisor.
Shit. Hang on. I had not heard this. Pitt Danny says Prager's in the hospital right now, broke his back in a fall. Damn.
And I worry about that shit with my dad and my mom all the time. They're in their 70s. It's one of those things like you get that old, simply falling down can take you out of the fight. I mean, it's scary stuff. Anyway, so Mike Waltz, he's a Florida congressman. Okay. I don't like this guy. I don't like this pick. Okay. This man has voted every single funding package for Ukraine. All right, in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, and that should have been a disqualifier right there.
Do not like Mike Waltz. Okay, that definitely concerns me. I hope this guy makes it obvious to Trump that he needs to be fired at some point in the next year or next 18 months. Definitely concerned about that one. That's probably my least favorite pick. All right, John Ratcliffe for CIA director. This guy.
There was originally some chatter that it was going to be Kash Patel for CIA director, and that didn't pan out. But now it's looking like Kash Patel is going to be the pick to replace Chris Wray, and I'm pretty comfortable with that. Wray needs to be prosecuted. Chris Wray needs to be investigated and prosecuted.
Correct. If you were Trump's director of the FBI, and then a new administration takes hold, and for 4 years the guy hasn't changed, that should be your tell that there was something terribly wrong with Chris Wray. One of Trump's worst picks from his first administration. Anyway, so John Ratcliffe, CIA director. It's only going to be bad choices. Okay. This guy Ratcliffe, though, is the only guy who's kind of qualified for the job who didn't outright come out and criticize or make accusations against Trump in the wake of the January 6th protest. Okay, so this guy is
the one qualified pick that didn't sign the frickin' the letter that said the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation.
Correct. Yeah, he glows in the dark. Okay, with the brightness of 1,000 suns. But at least he didn't attempt to put a dagger in Trump's back. Okay, so fair enough.
Yeah, you might think he's a white man, but he's actually just shiny.
Okay, Lee Zeldin for environmental EPA administrator. Sure, whatever. Here's our second tribesman that we've seen so far amongst his selections. That's fine. Send him to the EPA. The guy has like a D rating for the whatever lobbyist groups put together report cards, you know what I mean, for how congressmen vote.
Yeah.
All right. This man has like a D- rating for environmental protection, and he's
he's perfect.
He's perfect. It's like,
and
just
we say that kind of tongue in cheek, and we laugh as we say it.
Clean air, clean water.
And here's the thing.
Don't get experimental with me, okay?
Don't forget,
clean air, clean water. That's it.
Back under Trump's first administration, he pulled us out of the Paris Climate Accords, and a big part of that, like, he was very clear. He said this deal is bullshit. We're funding everything. Nobody's required to do anything, and China and India are doing all the polluting. After we got pulled out by Trump, the result was the United States actually lowered its carbon footprint just through basic capitalist innovation and competitiveness. We greedied our way out of pollution because, believe it or not, what the free market does is it looks for a better way to do things or a cheaper way to do things. I don't care what you sell. Somebody else will come out and they'll sell it for cheaper, or they'll make it better. You'll still have a line, right? Your cheeseburger's $5, and it's pretty good. There are people who will say, I can only afford a $1 cheeseburger, and I don't care if it sucks as long as it's only $1. And then there are other people, like this guy, that'll say, no, I'll pay you $20 for a cheeseburger if it's a banging cheeseburger. Right now, I'll eat a $5 cheeseburger, but I'll look for a $20 cheeseburger. So you still got your spot in the market. But that doesn't mean that the market doesn't have some play. And that is how you clean the fucking water and the air.
Yeah.
Is it you let it, people want clean air and clean water. If people want it, they will spend money for it. It's that simple.
I love you too, Brittany. Okay. Now, Chris, I need a little bit of pushback on that. Okay. I was there. I'm the same age as you. Okay. I was there in the late 90s when McDonald's had their 39-cent cheeseburger and 29-cent hamburger, okay, specials that were going on. Okay.
And they were better than the $3 cheeseburgers today.
And I know for a fact that you laid down a $20 bill and defiled yourself on multiple occasions. Don't lie to us. Don't lie to us.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, okay. Mario, true
don't
story.
Need to go on a tangent.
No, quick tangent.
It's my fault. It's my fault.
It is your fault.
Tangent. Oh.
True story. I went to a Crystal Burger one time because there was a radio station, 99X. You guys, Georgia natives recognize 99X from the 90s. And they were doing a Crystal Burger eating competition. It's an eating contest. It's the only time I've ever done one. And I said, sounds like fun. Plus, I get lunch for free. And I sat down.
I've had better gas station cheeseburgers. Than Crystal.
But I wanted to win the money. There was money on the line. And I ate, I think it was 37 Crystals in 3 minutes.
Rough.
I lost to a little skinny Asian kid who ate 114 in the same time.
The fuck?
I shit you not. I don't know how he could do it because it wasn't that I filled up and couldn't eat another one. It's that you can only eat them so fast because you start. But this kid just don't know how I did it.
You got to dilate. You got to lube up beforehand, Chris.
I guess so.
I guess so. Yeah. Also, some the Asians in these food eating contests, they have like antimatter in their tummy, which kind of absorbs the food. It just goes into the ether. It's crazy. Okay.
Anyway,
so Bill McGinley for White House counsel. I have no idea who this man is. He's whatever, Trump's lawyer, I guess. All right, that's fine. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about it. I don't know about it. Let's get to something exciting. So Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy as the Department of Government Efficiency. This is what you and I have talked about for months and months and months and months. We need someone to go in there and clear out basically the administrative state. Okay. You don't have to prosecute them. You don't have to fire them. Okay. You just stop paying them and they'll go away, which is what needs to happen here. getting rid of the senior executive services, okay, GS 16 and above. All right, these people are on the chopping block, and you've got Pete Hegseth with basically the upper sludge, okay, the 3 and 4 stars, which we are bloated with, okay, at the upper echelons of the military. We got Pete Hegseth basically going to be taking a chopping block to that, okay, and then you've got Elon Musk and Vivek doing the same thing with the bureaucratic administrative state. That's exactly what we need to see. They say they're going to have it done, what they want to get done in like a year and a half. If they're successful, keep going. Don't declare an end to operations. Don't declare.
Yeah, there's never a good time to stop firing people from the government.
Yeah, correct, 100%.
If there's anybody left, to do the firing, you've still got people left to fire.
The only thing that could cause this Department of Government Efficiency to fail would be basically too many big personalities at the top and conflict within. Okay, so if they can avoid that, then this is going to be probably as something as refreshing for us to see in our government as in Trump's first administration when he passed that regulation where basically for every new regulation you pass, you have to chop 2 from the book. You know what I mean? That was the policy of the first administration. Downsizing the administrative state by design, okay, or as a function of the administrative state. So perfect, okay.
Now, and Elon's going to be doing a lot of work for me personally, because he's announced that part of the Department of Government Efficiency is going to be that they're going to run a scoreboard that's going to show basically what is the biggest waste of money in the government right now. Like last year, we spent $435 million on building a treadmill for a shrimp to run in cold water to see how it affected the cardiopulmonary health of the shrimp. Like, and hey, tell me why, right? I mean, if that's a thing if you want to put shrimp on treadmill and watch them run on treadmills and watch them run, I'm all for it. If that's something that you want to do with your money, but that is not something I want to do with my money. I don't care how drug and alcohol use affects the relationship between Johns and prostitutes in China. That's not something that I want you spending $300 million of my tax money on. Yeah. I don't care about the breeding practices of certain types of spiders in Africa enough to spend my tax money on it. I'm sure there's a good reason to study it. But if there's a good reason to study something, you go get your fucking money and you stay away from mine.
Yeah,
just one last thing. So I mentioned those things. The Department of Government Efficiency, they can do a lot. They can save us an absolute fortune before they even fire anybody, just by shutting down shit like that.
Yeah, we don't need studies such as landmark studies such as science has new study conclusively proves that that shapely women's breasts are erotic or arousing to men. Like, okay, we don't need that study. Okay, we know that.
And that was one that was funded.
That actually was done. That's a real study.
It's like, well, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Elon's going to be doing a lot of good work for me because with that scoreboard, that's something that we're going to follow on the show. When the scoreboard gets updated, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah. Okay, and that leaves us to the last one that we have so far, Tom Homan. Fucking based. Okay, yes. This man is a madman. 36 years in ICE and Border Patrol. Okay, this man has seen it all. This is the most grizzled man. All right, currently probably in the administration right now. This man has seen some shit. Okay, if you want to look, I don't have to tell you this guy's awesome. All you need to do is get on YouTube and look up Tom Homan versus AOC. All right, this man laid waste. This man put AOC over his knee and beat her raw. Okay.
Yes. And in that conversation, AOC was doing the Democrat thing where she's like, "Well, you want to send all the immigrants back." illegal immigration is a crime. What the fuck? Oh. Sorry, bird just flew into my bug net.
Based.
I had a moment of boo. But AOC was trying to pull the trick where she conflates illegal aliens with legal immigrants, and he was having none of it. And she kept saying, she's like, oh, well, legal asylees, if you crossed the border without going through a legal point of entry, you're not a legal asylee. You have not sought asylum.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not the same thing. This is the guy.
Yeah.
This is the guy right here.
Hey, look, they gave me 5 minutes to say a few things, so if I offend anybody tonight, I don't give a shit. How many pounds of fentanyl didn't make in this country to kill Americans? How many known suspected terrorists didn't make it in the country? How many billions of dollars did the cartels make? President Trump is one badass president. He secured the border at the level we've never seen before. And I got a message to the millions of illegal aliens that's been released into the United States under this administration. Don't get too comfortable. We're going to need some help. Do I have any volunteers that want to come back and help run the biggest deportation operation in the history of this nation? In January of 25, the greatest president of my lifetime walking back in the White House. He tells me, we got, I say 120 days. He says, no, you got 60 to lock the border down. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I told the president. He comes back, I come back, we fix this shit. Hey, look, they gave me...
He comes back, I come back, we fix this shit.
Yep. It gets no better, folks. It gets no better than this. This is exactly who you want as your borders are in charge of policy on our border.
Honestly,
Send
with
them
Gaetz
back.
as the attorney general, Homeland as the border czar, and Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense, he could keep the rest of Biden's cabinet in place, and we'll essentially see them all in jail before the end of February, and he'll have to make new appointments. I mean, those three alone are absolute fucking wins.
Yep. I agree.
Believe it or not, I could probably put Tulsi Gabbard on that same list.
She has the least important job within the least senior position.
Yeah, but there ain't no zealot like a convert, baby. Ain't no zealot like a convert.
That's true. And I want a skeptic. I do want a skeptic looking over the intelligence community, especially after 51 experts agree that Hunter's laptop is Russian disinformation. What a fucking farce. Anyway, so
every one of them ought to be in. Every one of those guys needs to be prosecuted for election interference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. The government's already weaponized. You might as well turn the guns in the other direction, right? That's what I say.
Yep.
Anyway, so that's everyone we've covered, and we're rolling up right at that 1 hour mark. I'd say well done. So
yeah, no doubt.
Yep.
So guys, I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in it there. Mario, thanks for joining us this morning. Pleasure as always. Hey, while I've got you, are you going to be available to do Firearms Friday tomorrow morning?
Assuming I can get up. You know I have a morning problem. I've had a morning problem ever since you've known me. I'm the guy who would run at the last second and leap into the sky and land in formation as fall in was called, and I would swear I wasn't late. I struggled. So I will try to.
Well, at least do yourself a favor if you didn't already see it. Go back and watch the show I did on Monday with Tom Waller in studio with me. That was fun.
All right.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us this morning, Mario. I'm gonna go ahead and kick you out, and I'll hit you up tomorrow morning about doing the show. Hopefully, it'll be me, you, and Cameron. Yes, it's a cheeseburger. We're gonna try to have Cameron on tomorrow morning, and so we'll see you then, Mario. And to the rest of you, thanks for watching this morning. I hope you enjoyed the show. Keep an eye out because I'm really digging down on expanding the show. We had a little problem with getting connected to Rumble this morning, so I'm going to have to go back and republish the show on the Rumble later today. But many of you may have noticed that I put out a bunch of clips yesterday. I'm playing with some new software that auto chops and lets me do some pretty fast and efficient editing. So I'm going to try to every time we have a good show like we had today, where we, especially like today was perfect because we've essentially got a segment per each of the personalities we talked about. This is going to be chopped into clips, and those clips are going to be put out as 30-second, 1 minute, 2 minute shorts and clips on all platforms. Do us a favor when you see one of those, watch it, take a minute, share it. At least give it a thumbs up and share it. If you don't have time to actually watch it, help us blow this thing up. Help us really expand this channel, and we'll do some great things in the future. Otherwise, thanks for watching this morning, guys. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.